15 seconds, or no, actually right now. Welcome everybody. It's Friday morning, April 28th, believe it or not. We are at the end of April and heading into the last 2 weeks of session here. I wanted to meet early this morning because this is a time that we could get the new commissioners to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That was the result of our work last year in this committee and in the House and in the whole General Assembly to create a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to deal with issues that came out of the public apology that we did, that the General Assembly did in 2021. And last year we did H96, which was the formation of this. This was a long process. It's been a 2-year process for us over the last 2 years. And now the way that the process was set up has led us to this day, which is an introduction with the commissioners who were picked. They submitted their resumes and through a process that has been explained to us. And we have I'm going to post, I don't know if I shared that with you yet, Ron. Karen Tronsgaard Scott had sent me a report from the selection panel, and I'll post that, which will describe their work. And this is our opportunity to meet the commissioners who are just embarking on their work that we've tasked them to do, which is to create a process that will function for the next 3 years and culminate in, at the very least, reports that we've asked from their work. And so basically, we missed the Zoom conference from several weeks ago, and we wanted to have them in to introduce themselves. Before we get started, we will introduce ourselves to you. I'm Representative Tom Stevens from Waterbury, Chair of the General Housing Committee.
Representative Emily Krasnow, South Burlington.
Representative Ashley Bartley, Fairfax, Georgia.
Representative Caleb Elder from Starksboro and representing the Addison 4 District.
Dennis Labonte, Linden, Sutton, Newark, Sheffield, Wheelock.
Good morning, I'm Elizabeth Burrows and I represent Heartland, West Windsor, and Windsor.
Good morning, I'm Larry Labor. I represent Essex, Orleans, District 1.
Good morning, I'm Mary Howard and I represent Rutland, District 6.
Good morning, Robin Chestnut Tangerman, Rutland, Bennington District.
So if you were here, there would be donuts for you. But you're not, and I realize that you're from all corners of the state. So I don't know who's in charge or who would like to speak first, but whoever hits the button first and raises their hand can have the microphone first.
Like that? Right?
Yes.
Okay, so hello, my name is Melody Mackin, and thank you so much for having us here. And I'm one of the commissioners that was selected. I'm a citizen of Elnew, and I'm on the Vermont Commission on Native Affairs, and I'm also on the Vermont 250th Commission. I'm sorry I don't get to eat the donuts.
Patrick?
Hello, I'm Patrick Standen. I'm a resident of Burlington, Vermont, and a native Vermonter, and I am currently the Distinguished Lecturer in Philosophy and Disability Studies and Medical Ethics at St. Michael's College, and I'm also board president of the Northeast Disabled Athletic Association. And I'm honored to meet you and to hear your vision of what the commission should be working toward.
Mia?
Good morning. My name is Mia Schultz. I use she, her pronouns. I am, well, I know a lot of you in the room. I'm down here in Bennington. Good to see you guys. And I am the Rutland Area NAACP president. I serve Bennington, Rutland, and Addison counties. Yeah, it's just a pleasure to be on this historic commission. And looking forward to working with the public and working with the Act 128 communities. And I'm just, it's just an honor to be here and in this capacity, because normally I'm in a different capacity. I'm also on the Act 1 Social and Ethnic Studies group, which is getting ready to hopefully, submit the recommendations are submitted, but hopefully we'll be getting ready to pass the baton to the next level. We've been doing that for 3 years. And so I'm just, again, honored to be here. Thank you.
And just a quick question, what is it that led you to apply to be the commissioners? What was it about what did you know before you saw that the selection panel was actively seeking commissioners? Patrick?
Well, yes, thank you. I had been following the legislation and was interested in the formation of the commission, but I hadn't really visualized myself as applying right away. And principally, my involvement as a professor of medical ethics and looking at Vermont history and the period of eugenics and other injustices is primarily my motivation. I have a 40-year-long career as a disability rights activist, and I've been working on a number of issues in social justice throughout the state. As someone who's keenly interested in social justice, this seemed to be a duty that I felt was incumbent upon me to make the move out of the academic realm and into the realm where I can make some positive change addressing these atrocities and injustices in order to establish the beginning of healing. So I think that my interest, particularly in looking at how persons with disabilities and others have been affected, led me to do it. As I mentioned earlier, I was raised in Vermont, and I grew up in Wethersfield, Vermont, and many of my childhood friends were French Canadian heritage, and I heard stories of the kinds of things that their families had experienced, and that was, of course, another interest. So it's primarily my interest and engagement in issues around social justice that motivated me.
Melody?
Well, interestingly enough, I think I was the only person, maybe not, in the panel or in the process that was like, I don't really want this job, but people have asked me to do this job. And so, and then as I started speaking with people more and learning more about the legislation, it's going to be a very hard weight. It's going to be a weight on our souls to listen to some of this and to try to move forward the best way we can. And it's also the most important work you could probably ever do, right? And so I'm always looking to make the world a little bit better and our communities a little bit better for the future. And so, and I have kids, so I think about them all the time. So that's why I ended up deciding to take the job. But I'm doing this for my community.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling a little bit emotional this week because for the last 2 weeks, me and a lot of people within the NAACP and other social and racial justice advocacy organizations have been rushing to put out fires and legislation in different areas across the House and the Senate in the state of Vermont. And we have been doing this without being paid, but because we care so much about our community. When I saw this job come up, I thought, this is already what I do. I already hear stories. I already bring them to you so that you can make things right within the law, so that people do not have to suffer at the hands of, like, quite frankly, laws and policies that weren't meant for people like me and my family and the people in my constituency within the NAACP. So I was called to this job, I believe, by my ancestors, because this is what I was meant to do. And it has been hard in this last few weeks to juggle what, not only that civic duty that I was explaining, but also to take on this work and become so very much more visible. And yet my purpose is steadfast, that we will create the change that we want to see in our future. And that's why I'm here today.
Mia, just following up, the phrase truth and reconciliation means a lot of different things. As we were addressing this last year, we also learned that, for instance, the Vermont Native American Commission also worked with the same group we did prior to us working with them for the International Center for Truth and Justice, and they had come upon the phrase not so much truth and reconciliation, but truth and accountability, because for a certain outlook would be, what is there to reconcile when our world was taken away from us? And the piece that struck me, though, was that there's this feeling of not so much defining, but understanding perhaps what is truth. You know, is it the truth or is it a truth? And our historical record purports to be the truth, but we know it's just a truth because it's told from one particular, it can be told from one particular angle. What are your thoughts on just focusing on the word truth? And this is for all three of you, focusing on what is truth?
I think that's an important part. The most important part of this process is focusing on our collective truth. I think so often there are been people's truths been invisibilized or unheard, especially in terms of our laws and our policies. And if we can get a little bit uncomfortable in a different truth than you're accustomed to and acculturated to, it will help us move forward to a path where we can actually see each other in our humanity and how we're interconnected. So there are lots of versions of a truth, and the truths that we're about to unveil in this process will be ones that haven't been necessarily uplifted or heard, or more importantly, felt through our souls and our shared humanity. So, like that's a complicated philosophical question. But in my eyes, it's a necessary process to go through finding the truth of those who have not been heard in the past, and acknowledging that as a reality, acknowledging other sides of a story is a part of uncovering that truth. That's what I can say about that.
Patrick?
Yeah, well, you're treading on dangerous territory when you talk of truth to a philosopher. And I think that it's a point that has to be made here is that there is an absolute and objective truth, that truth is what has happened and what did happen. And unfortunately, that the historical narrative that people interpret those events is subject to the whims of power. And historically, power has been invested in a small minority of people who get to tell that story, and they tended to marginalize the perspectives of those other people who were affected by that narrative, and creating what the Haitian philosopher Michael Tarot describes as zones of silence. And I think that important to understand that it's not about combating and fighting about truths, because we're going to be investigating the truth of what did happen to individuals and people. And as Mia has so rightly said, that it's about creating a space and a place where we can uncover and listen to those events that did happen to people, to write the historical narrative, to include those zones of silence that have not been given the light of day. And so I think it's very important to understand that we all may have perspectives, as Mia said, on those truths. There is a truth, and that truth is that, people were harmed by state policy, and it's part of our moral duty to listen to those truths, uncover those truths, to correct what way we can the truth of history.
Melody?
Yep. And for me, I just think about all the people that we're going to be talking to and the stories that we're going to be listening to, and helping people for them to share what is truth for them and how people experienced different things in the past. And so we can talk about truth from a 10,000-foot view and all of the philosophy around it and what I think it is. But at the end of the day, we're all going to be sitting in front of people, and we're going to be listening to, human to human, what's happened. And so I'm excited and I'm nervous for that process. And there's a lot that has happened, and there's a lot of, political jockeying in the world and gaslighting and trying to silence people from many different communities about things that have happened in the past. And this is an opportunity to put all of that aside and just listen to the person in front of me. And so that's how I would answer that question.
Any questions from anyone else? Yes, Elizabeth Burrows.
Thank you. Where do you see the role of the executive director in this work?
Go ahead, Patrick. You already put out the notice. It's all up.
Right.
So
yeah. So as members of the committee probably do know, that it is posted to the executive director, and we have a robust list of requirements and qualifications that we are looking for. And I think we're looking for a motivated individual who is going to guide the team under our advisement towards documenting the abuses, both historical and contemporary, which have occurred. They're going to be doing a lot of the work. They're going to be, they're going to be the vision that motivates the other members of the team, the researcher, administrative assistant. So we're asking for a tall order here on when you read what we're looking for. I have to say that we're already receiving some wonderful applications, and extremely motivated, thoughtful, and talented individuals are coming forward, and it's going to be a Herculean task to try to choose between some of these candidates that we're blessed to be able to look at.
Great. Thank you for coming in. We're being called to the floor. It is, from my perspective, again, we created this in a way that allows this commission to be standalone One of the issues, one of the phrases that we used last year was that the state should not be the judge, jury, and defendant in this conversation. As you mentioned, the truths are going to be difficult to face or to listen to, and so we've created this commission so that there is zero interference from the legislature, from the executive branch. The support that's there would be administrative and to help you figure out. Though I understand, I do want to make sure that you feel like you're not alone. That there are people and that can provide what the intent was of the legislation, so that as you embark on your work, you're all on the same page with what we intended, and we'll continue to work on that with you. But at some point, we just have to say, we can't. I don't ever want to see the legislature influencing the work of what's going on here, because of course, this is, we're the system, and that have made, we're part of the historical system that's made these choices in the past that you're seeking to hear stories about and hear what the truths are. So I want to thank you for putting yourselves forward. I understand. I think we always knew when we wrote the bill that this would be a very big and difficult job. And so thank you for taking it on. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Committee will be back here 10 minutes after the floor, just for a short while. I don't know how long the floor is.
Oh, I'm still